Guarda che sai, 제가 굿프레이드 가 그런 적이
You want to do it? I think we should use this one.
Good afternoon and welcome. My name is Ruben Pala. I'll be the facilitator for you on this course. You have registered for a paralegal program. For us to be able to move right along, I will need you to switch off your video if it's on. And you will also need to mute your microphone. You will be able to raise your hand and have your microphone unmuted and we talk. The class is more interactive, so I'll be able to talk to you, you'll be able to talk to me. But because today we do more of orientation, I'll do a whole lot of talking. Yes, I know you feel sorry for me, but don't mind me. I'm a lawyer. I'm used to it. So I'll do all the talking for now. But where I need your input, I'll probably say, raise your hand, let's talk. But to also do it quicker is for you to use the chat box and you can chat with Madeline. If there's something that is administrative, she'll be able to assist you with administrative things. So we will be attending the program online, and I am here at the offices of the Law Society. If at times you want to come and attend and check if you can come and sit with me while we do the presentation and you do this live, just contact us and say, hey, I'm around, can I come in? And if I'm really at the Law Society offices that day, I'll say, yes, come through. Just to make sure that you all can hear me. If I can get a thumbs up from here and there and say, hey, yes, we can hear you. Lauren, you've got your hands raised, or unless if that's just to say, hey, I hear you, that will also be good. Also try and switch off your video if you can. And somebody says, during exams, can we also switch off the videos? I say, no, during exam, I also want to see even the script. For now, let's switch off the video so that you can be able to conserve your bandwidth and hear the conversation easy. Okay, so you've muted yourself, you've switched off the video. If you'd want to speak, you raise your hand like Nompumelolo's hand is raised. Nompumelelo, you can unmute yourself and say something if you have to speak. Okay, then we're good. Gugu as well, the hand is raised. If it's just to say you're hearing me, I'm good with it, thank you. But if you just need to speak, you can also unclick the unmute and speak. Let's see if it can work out. What I've noticed with the morning session was that people were unable to unmute themselves. So that's why I'm actually trying to say unmute and speak. Let's see if you can speak. If not possible, it's fine. In the next session, I'll make sure that you're able to unmute yourself. Google, are you able to unmute there? Thank you, man.
Hi. Can you hear me?
Google, you're unmuted. It's just now I can't hear. Try speaking again. Let's see.
Hello?
Yes, now I
Okay.
can hear you. Thank you.
Okay.
How are you?
I'm good and how are you, sir?
I'm all right. Please, now we know that you guys can speak and we can talk to each other. You can mute yourself so that we don't have the background noises. All right. So you also need to make sure that you switch off your video. Busi, hi, I see you. Please, I love video, Busi kaloku. And Innocentia, also switch off your video. Just look at the camera button and click on it. So you've got the microphone button and then you've got the camera button. So if you click on the camera button, it will mute your video. Busi was able to do it. You can try Innocentia. If you can look at it's a camera button, it's like a video camera. So if you press that button, it will mute. So the microphone, and then the other one is the camera one. Well, if it's not working out, it's not working out. Let's leave it at that. But tell me, you are now able to see on your screen, my screen, which has got a book on it. At least the page you should be looking at should be a page that says Law Society of South Africa. It's page 2 of 67. If you're able to see something like that, just please thumbs up so that I can see that we're all on the same page. Good, I'll scroll right back to the beginning. If you're at the beginning, it will say Paralegal Practice Introduction to Law. Just the front cover of the book. Okay, now that I've done the introductory things, as I've said, we'll do the training on Tuesdays and Thursdays. 5 o'clock will be on, have the discussion online, and we'll have the trainings on Saturday if you want to catch up on this session if you were not around. In the alternative, if we are not going to present a live session on Saturday, we will post the video for you to be able to access the sessions. Madeline will send you emails to confirm which Saturdays we'll be presenting, especially if we are doing assessments and you will need an interaction for you to work with us. And in the alternative, if you also stay in Pretoria or live in Pretoria, you can walk in on that day and do the assessments with us. We'll be able to assist you with that. So what is this program then? The paralegal practice is a national certificate that is from the Safety and Security SETA, SASETA. It's a SAQA aligned qualification, as you can see on the book there. And you will be able to get a certificate from the QCTO that says your qualification is a SAQA aligned qualification. Hi, welcome. Yes. I'm having somebody walking in live, so no, it's the wrong book. Okay. So while you're online, there'll be people who are actually in class, and I'm sitting in front of somebody and we are talking to other people. You'll be able to hear them and we have a conversation. So our class is, as I've said, interactive. So I will have conversation with people in the class. I'll have a conversation with you online and we'll be able to talk. And what's your name? Leanne is here. She's in class and she's going through the material, which is printed. If you're online, you probably receive an email that linked you to eLeader. And on eLeader, you are able to download the same thing that Leanne is looking at, which is actually the study guide. Good. So we move. Okay. So as I was saying, you are doing the National Certificate Paralegal. This National Certificate Paralegal program will be done Tuesdays, Thursdays, 5 o'clock to 1800 hours, and we will also do it another session again on a Saturday. In most instances, we will be here. If Leanne and others who are coming full-time and they want to walk in, they will walk in and will attend. But in the event that we are not coming in, we will be doing it online as we are doing now. And in the event that I'm totally not around, you will have a recording which is pre-recorded, and then we'll send you an email on time and say, hey, here's a pre-recorded session. You don't have to log in, listen to the pre-recorded session. And next time I come, we'll go through the pointers and we discuss them because we said the class must be more interactive. About the course, as I was saying, the course is an NQF level 5 qualification. The aim of the program is to assist you to work in a law firm, and not just in a law firm itself, to work in a legal space as a paralegal. In a South African context, paralegal is not such a most famous a big brother like lawyer. So if you say somebody's a lawyer, people says, yes, he's a lawyer, he deserves a McDonald's. But if you say somebody's a paralegal, say, okay, explain that again. So through our program, we're going to explain how the paralegal works and how they support the legal fraternity in general. So what you will see is that we will do 4 books now. Those 4 books will be done between now and May. And we'll do the assessments. We submit the assessments. Those 4 modules will be gone. I'll discuss some of the modules now. And the next thing we'll do is we will now do the second set of 4 books. The second set of 4 books, we will do those probably until around October, November. We'll do the assessments, we submit. Then we'll say that the qualification is really complete. And in doing this, it's intentionally set in such a way that it assists you to go through the work of a paralegal and what is expected of a paralegal. So to help you get what I'm trying to say, I'll storify it for you. So think of a lawyer who comes in the office in the morning and I receive a phone call to the office. While driving to the office, somebody says, hey, Mr. Pala, I'm arrested. Then me, I say, congratulations. No. So he's hysterical. He needs his lawyer to help him. And I'm saying, but man, I've got another appointment in the office. That can wait. I'm arrested. So it's a cry for help. So let's see what's going to be done at the office. At the office, I was supposed to write a letter and respond to another letter which was given to Mrs. A, which said, Mrs. A, you need to pay your debt within 20 days. If you don't pay that debt within 20 days, we are going to take you to court. This was the first thing that I was going to do. So I'm looking at, do I really drive all the way to write a letter for Mrs. A, or do I go to the police station and help the client who say, hey, I'm arrested? See? Now I'm having 2 things to do. But Mrs. A, I've promised her that 2 hours time, I promise you, I'll send you that email. If I go to the police station now, I won't be able to help Mrs. A. Well, while I'm at it, Mr. Peter says, Mr. Pala, and he sends me a WhatsApp. Don't forget. We are supposed to go on Friday for my divorce application. You see, Mr. Pala, you remember? And I've just signed that settlement agreement. You said you needed it to give it to the other lawyers and all of that. Okay, I'll fetch it by your office, I say. But the other one sends me the SMS again. How far are you? They're about to take my cell phone. I'm arrested. And now I've got the other two people who are looking for their things. We have to juggle these things. What do we do now? The first thing would be, well, which one? It's a red case. We have to go help the gentleman who is now arrested. So we move right along and drive towards the police station. If you are in Pretoria, you are now driving towards Pretoria Central Police Station. And you pick a phone and you call somebody in your office and you say, hey, Star, type that letter and send it to Mrs. A. And you remember the template we did for you for Mr. Jacobs? It's almost the same thing. You change the details and you say to the other people, we note that we've received your letter, and you don't put it in detail because Star has typed many of these letters. You don't say, and blah, 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 blah. You know the drill. And she goes ahead and she'll type the letter. And true, when she types the letter, she will not send it. So what she does is types the letter and put it on WhatsApp again. You say, so Mr. Palo, you're driving on WhatsApp and doing all these things. Okay, for now, forget the R2 Act. so that's my life. Now I have to check this WhatsApp and I'm seeing, hey, I stop on the road, pick up a breakfast on the go, and I read the WhatsApp. No, change paragraph number 4. It doesn't read right. The date is wrong, and the amount she owes is not that. Query them about the interest is too high. And she edits the letter. And WhatsApp's it back while I'm taking a bite of whatever breakfast I get. So you're looking at a lawyer, but somebody just came in. The assistant at the office just came in, is doing all the lawyering work. All I'm doing is verifying that they're doing it right. And then I say, please ask Mr. Quinda to go fetch the document, the settlement agreement by Mr. So-and-so. And he must not forget to take it to the court and make sure that it's in the court file. Now you're seeing another person entering the whole situation. And he goes and fetch the document. And if he's going to fetch the document, if it's a settlement agreement, he must make sure that it's actually initialed at the bottom of every page. And witnesses have signed. He can sign, but he must just make sure that witnesses have also signed. How does he know all these things? I've not said to him, make sure it's initialed. I've not said to him, it's because he also understands these processes. But good for Mr. Quinda is a candidate attorney. You see, you're looking at a real attorney. You've now looked at a candidate attorney who also works more like a real attorney. You look at the assistant, and then the assistant is a paralegal officer who has done paralegal 2 years ago. That's why she can write those letters. And she writes the letter and insists on the 20 days from the day the letter was received, because she understands this is from the National Credit Act. How does he know all these things? You're looking at the first book in front of you. It's called Introduction to Law. The Introduction to Law book helps you to understand the law and how it works. The story I just told you, you've seen 2 different cases. The one that's going on Friday, it's a divorce case. It's going to court E in front of Magistrate Matlaila, for example. And when you go in front of her, and you're going to be looking at her, but most of the time, if you meet her on Friday, she's not doing criminal cases. She's mostly doing civil cases, because on Friday, they do the unopposed role, they call it. So she's busy doing an unopposed role. But all of a sudden, that gentleman, you remember, who said, Mr. Pala, I'm arrested. He now comes. He doesn't come through the main door. He comes from another door where the police officer goes with a key and he opens, ta-ting, and they bring him in and he stands there and they check his address and everything. And the magistrate says, all right, bill granted at 20,000 rands. And the guy says, yo, that I argue, no, he doesn't have 20,000 rands. The guy is just a bookkeeper, he's not an accountant. And then we talk, and ultimately he says, no, but still there must be some sort of a reasonable amount. So okay, 10. And he goes back through the very same door, and bail will be paid by his family, and all that happened. So all that you witnessed, it was me, the magistrate, but another gentleman was also standing on the other side, reading from the docket, and he is saying what kind of crime is being committed here. It's not very serious. The bail amount must be high. This gentleman is a flight risk. He's got a passport which must be surrendered. That's the prosecutor. And that's me saying, but that passport has never been used. He only got the passport just for fun. He wanted to look cool. It's okay. Anyway, he will surrender the passport. And all those discussions happen, and you see, no, all right, fine. You are warned, Mr. So and so, you must return to court on this and this date. Bailey said at 10,000 rands. That's that, and that was done. So what you just witnessed is the workings of a criminal case. Like I said, well, it's Friday. This court doesn't really deal with a lot of those criminal issues. It looks at unopposed matters, and most of them are divorce matters. Here we go. We move right along to the other gentleman whose settlement agreement was done and is now in the court file. And I have a copy. He's got a copy. He doesn't come through those other doors. He came through the door that everybody else came through. And he's sitting there, and he doesn't go on the dock where he sits and is facing the magistrate. He's now going to the witness box, which nobody occupied up to now. He sits next to the other lady who now translates the whole thing in Venda. And the whole thing happens. What is this now? The prosecutor is not standing up anymore. He's not saying, introducing case number, what, who, what happened. It is only now the magistrate who has called the case, and it's me who says, hey, I'm Mr. Pala on behalf of Mrs. Chauke, and it is on an unopposed matter, and the divorce matter. We speak and we speak. Nobody else speaks. Then the lady gets sworn in by the magistrate, and this discussion goes on, and everything happens. You remember the document Mr. Quinda fetched? It now becomes an issue in court. We hand her a copy of that document. We start reading through that document. And we start checking, is this your signature? We say, yes, it's my signature. So it's initialed at the bottom of every page. Yes, you initialed it. Yes. So the whole thing goes through, and there you go. Divorce proceedings are done. The divorce order is granted. The division of joint estates, oh, that good English. The document before is now admitted as Exhibit A, and the conditions therefore are made the order of the court. And you hear me go, as pleases, your worship, as pleases. And that concludes my role, and I walk away, and Mr. Quinta smiles and says, yeah, see, I got the document for you. And everybody goes home, and the letter on the other side, I see the email coming in on my cell phone. It has been emailed. The paralegal did it. So you looked at my Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, things done, but I've done so many things, but I didn't do so many things. The paralegals assisted me through it. And the book that you're looking at, the first one, it's the Introduction to Law book. You're going to go through it. And I won't teach you the content today, but I'll just give you the background of what happens if you look through that book. So if you look through that book, you're going to see that it takes you through different topics, fundamental legal concepts, that is point 2, study unit 1. It takes you through sources of South African law. It takes you at areas of law and all of that. So if I read through, you'll be, okay, fine, Mr. Pala, we can read. What is all these things? Tell us, so that we just save our eyes from being strained from reading. So this is what really happens. I need to say to you, criminal law you saw when the guy got bail, it must be some sort of law which is either written or from somewhere. If the guy was arrested for murder, you wouldn't find it written anywhere. But it's law nevertheless. Nobody should kill anyone. And you ask, but where did you read it? I say, nowhere. It's common sense. So you say, okay, fine. So what kind of law is this? This is common law. So those are legal provisions which you will study later that says there is common law. But how about the divorce matter you just witnessed? And it says the division of joint estate. Where did you see this? It's from the Divorce Act. It's a written law, and the law which was passed by Parliament. And that is also law. And you see all these different pieces of legislation. They come from different, law comes from different sources. So your first source of law will always be what the people from old used to do and agree on. Those are the things that have got to do with your norms and standards, the good morals of the community. Like somebody say, go fetch me a glass of water. You say, no, why? I can't. Why? Go fetch it yourself. And the person says, hey, I said you must go fetch it. I'm your father. Then you say, where is it written? Say, I don't want to know. I'm your father. So that is the good morals of society. If your father sends you to go fetch a glass of water, it's expected that you should go fetch a glass of water. Why? Because if you look at this book, it tells you about the historical background of law, where we even discuss your father being the paterfamilias, being the head of the family. And as the head of the family, in the olden law, your father owned you the same way as he owned cattle in the kraal. You say, eh? Yeah. So hence, that is why the same names and other things came in. So we'll go through it and we'll explain to you how these things work. But how about law today? It has evolved and gone through different stages, and South Africa has got official sources of law. That's what you see there in the book as learning outcome 1. So those would be the official sources of law, but there's also areas of law. I've talked a lot to you about criminal law and civil law. But you also hear people say, yeah, but others talk about constitutional law. Others talk about commercial law. There are also different areas of law that have got to do not only with the types of laws you look at, but the different areas of practice that your law firm will work at. If you talk to anybody who's a paralegal, they say, well, I don't know, Mr. Pala. All I know is road accident fund. I've filled those forms to last me a lifetime. So it is law, those forms. But see, it is administrative law, a lot of administration. All we are saying is that the road accident fund, an administrator needs to compensate your client, who is the complainant, who says, I am injured. If everything goes well and everything was equal on earth, the road accident fund is supposed to be nice. They're supposed to pick a phone and call you and say, hey, Gugu, don't worry about filling any more forms. We believe your client. He's really injured, you know. Well, how about we give him 10 million, Gugu, or you want 15? But that never happens. Life would be nice if that really happened. And that becomes a dispute, and that dispute goes to court. If the claim is less than a certain amount of money, it will go to the smaller courts. If the claim is bigger, it will go to the higher courts. It has got to do with something called the jurisdiction of the courts. We'll discuss that at the later stage so that you now understand as a paralegal, if they are saying there's a dispute between that lady with the letter of demand and the dispute was about 70,000 rands, it will go to the magistrate court. It will not go to the high court. So the first thing you'll start doing is to start looking for high court notice to defend. You'll start looking for magistrate court notice to defend. You will not fill your high court notice to defend. If you typed the high court notice to defend and you send it to the other lawyers, they'll send it back and say, ha, 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 this is vague and this is embarrassing. Please change it. And then you will have to change the heading of the court, proper citation, and the proper case number. What is a citation? What is the case number? We will discuss those as we go, but those things are what you would find in the practical application of the law. But before you even do the practical application of the law, you need to understand study unit 2 that says South African legal system. The South African legal system functions in a particular way. For you to start a case, you need to, if the case is argued, people don't agree on the facts, you need to issue the combined summons. It's just a summons with a plea on it. That's why they call it a combined summons. But if there's no argument, we all agree. We're just arguing on the issues of the law. Just issue an application. And it gets a notice of motion plus an affidavit. If you ask me, all these things look almost the same, just a little bit different. We'll discuss the small differences. Well, you are not in this course to be an attorney, but at least when you look at the two documents, you must immediately know that this is a notice of motion, therefore it is an application procedure. This is summons. This is a little bit different. It's an action procedure. So with time, you get to see these. And if you do road accident fund a lot, you have done a whole lot of actions. You've seen a lot of summons in your lifetime. And you've noticed that those summons do not always come up with evidence attached. That evidence come later during discovery. But if you work in commercial law spaces, you'll realize that the disputes will always go on application procedures. The evidence gets attached immediately. Strangely, in divorce proceedings, that evidence gets attached immediately, even if the whole thing is on summons. So you will look at this and we'll have the discussion about it, and we'll have fun looking at it, and we'll move on to study unit 2, how South African law evolved. It will be a discussion about what you find in the olden laws of the Cape that evolved through the parliament of the old South Africa, that evolved into democracy, that evolved into law today. Well, for 2 minutes, you've been listening to me. Stand up, stretch yourself, look at the book, find page, I see this is page 27. If I were you, I'll find page 37 while I'm standing up and finding a glass of water. If there's somebody in the office, talk to somebody and say, hi, I'm looking for page 27. Have you seen it? It's right inside your own computer, so you need to scroll through to page 27. I'm scrolling there. Are you guys still fine? Those you can raise thumbs up and say we're still okay. The end, we're still all right. I can see thumbs up, at least in the class. We are right this side of the world. On page 27, if you're scrolling through, you'll see the notes on it. And you should reach page 27 proper. It's now on page 28, the South African legal system. You can see that when you go through the study units, if you look at study unit 2, the South African legal system, are you back? You got yourself a glass of water, You drank half of it. You ready to move right along? Okay, you can have a seat and let's look at it. If you're on page 27, you're going to see something that says the learning outcomes. Nothing interesting. Looks something like some sort of administrative work on it. But I need to help you understand what that has got to do with anything. What you are studying, it's a course based on something called a unit standard. A unit standard is more like a syllabus. You are supposed to understand the contents of a unit standard. Therefore, you are supposed to understand the contents of a syllabus. Inside this unit standard, they expect you to know certain things. And the things that they expect you to know, they've written it in some sort of wish list. You can see that the wish list goes like, explain how law in general and South African law in particular evolved. Explain the different divisions of law. Explain the nature of the sources of South African law. Display the knowledge, and they continue and they make a wish list. At the beginning of every study unit, in every module, you're going to see something like this. So how do you test whether you understand that study unit? You understand that study unit if you are able to explain these things. And you say, so I don't have to cram all the content inside, Mr. Pal. I don't know about you. I don't like cramming stuff. So all you need to know is to know these things. And if you're going through it and you're reading through the content and it doesn't make sense, talk to me. I'll be able to assist you, and we explain this. What do they say in the movies? Explain this to you as if I was a 4-year-old. So you get the whole idea. Learning must not be complicated. It must be easy. You must be able to easily explain this. And I'll assist you to explain it. So if we scroll down, and if you're looking on the screen, you can see me scrolling down, you see key concepts. In some of the study units, I will include the key concepts. In some of the study units, I will not include the key concepts. But sometimes when we are talking, I'll tell you a concept. And if you want an explanation of that concept, you raise your hand and say, whoa, hold on now. Explain to me, what do you mean by that thing? I'll explain to you. Sometimes I'll speak of something as if it's, so let's include a key concept, as if it's common cause. So when the lawyers say as if it's common cause, they mean as if everybody understands it. So when I use words like that, you're able to raise your hand and say, whoa, what is common cause? I say, well, it's common sense. So everybody should understand it. So you're going to find yourself having those kind of discussions, and we talk about things like that. So be free to talk on chat boxes, raising your hand and talking to me. If you're in class, we'll interact like we are doing right now. So we'll put those key concepts like Roman Dutch law. I'm putting it there because for you to understand what really happened, you need to understand that our law evolved from Roman Dutch law. Do you need to cram and memorize the 18th century? No, that's not the point. The point is for you to understand evolution. How the law started as a caterpillar and is now an insect, and how it evolved. And strangely, if you approach it from that point, you won't forget that it was around the 18th century and whatever, because then you look at the timelines. Some of you probably are doing LLB or you want to do LLB. If you're doing LLB or you want to do LLB, you'll do a module. That's if you're going to UNISA. You'll do a module called international law. In international law and also fundamentals of law, you're going to see timelines. They're going to paint a timeline for you until 1910 and whatever. In each timeline, they'll show you how law changed. I wanted to add the timeline from that book, and I thought, you're not going to add that thing, Cuckoo. That's too complicated for my liking and yours. We're not going to discuss that timeline. We'll talk about it in class and browse through it. But when we do LLB, you will be able to go deeper into it. So you will see that some of the concepts we discussed are the concepts you are likely to find in law books proper. And we don't go much into detail. Colonialism, when South Africa was a colony and while other countries were colonies, and how the law was adopted and supplanted from different colonies. Interesting. If you're going to study this portion of law, you are going to study concepts like apartheid and all of that. Word of caution. If you're going to approach this thing with your emotions, you will miss it. Approach law like popcorns in a movie. Don't catch feelings when watching a movie. It's a movie after all. So you need to observe from a distance and understand the history of your country and how that informed the law. The concept here is at every stage, law evolved. And for example, in the Cape, they used to have something called the plug and tie, which is like a poster. The poster, they'll plug it inside and say, no black people should walk on the streets after 6. The other one will say, from today, no one must sell their wine farms. And probably they had another one that said, during working hours, no farmer must taste his own wine. So they wanted all farmers sober. So all those were black and tie. And those black and tie were numbered and they were law. And today, if you look at this law called the law of the colonies, and there's the Cape law that influenced law. Are we going deep into this lesson today? No. All I was trying to show you is you will study through this module. And this is how we are going to study through this module. Besides this module, I'm scrolling back if you're looking on the screen, scrolling back very fast. In my times, I used to say, yes, teacher, scroll very fast. I want to go catch a taxi. So scrolling very fast for you to go catch a taxi. Then you're at module 2. You're at the list of modules. You look at introduction to law. And you probably are having that module in front of you. Later, we'll send you another module called professional conduct. Unless if you're on e-leader, it should be there. If it's not there, Madeline will put it for you. So what is professional conduct then? In that module, a bit smaller, it's going to discuss ethics. It's going to discuss the court processes and the court systems. When I say I was standing in front of a magistrate, you can guess I was wearing a tie. Right now, no, I'm not wearing one. But when I go to court, I should wear one. Why? I don't know. I found it like that. Don't question me. It is decorum. And I am wearing a gown if I'm in front of a court. You say, but why? Hey, don't ask me. It is like that. If you are the candidate attorney and you're going to go into the magistrate's office to paginate a file or to drop off something for me, I'm expecting that you are well dressed. You are having your shirts tucked in. Preferably, it's a white shirt and black pants. And your hair is nicely combed and you're well mannered. And you've buttoned your shirt nicely. And you knock at the door. You address the magistrate as your worship. And you sit when you're asked to sit. You stand up if you're not asked to sit. And all those things. If you take a document from the court file, you ask first. I'll tell you a document like, what do you mean you take a document from a court file? Is it even allowed? Well, generally speaking, no. You'll be taking evidence from a court file. But here's the situation. If you're dealing with divorce cases, there'll be 2 documents that will determine a divorce. Okay, others will. But these 2 notorious documents, one of them is the settlement agreement. The settlement agreement, if it's got, it will also have an endorsement from the children's court stamped on it, and the endorsement should be original. And the settlement agreement is also original. So the other document you will find is the marriage certificate. The marriage certificate should also be original, which means if we don't have these 2 documents in original form, there's no divorce today. Your client will be married for another 3 months. and they don't want to be married. Actually, they want to go and marry, and then you have not filed the original documents, and it's a problem. So really, can they postpone a divorce case because you don't have originals? Trust me, been there, done that. I have a T-shirt. They will do it. So when you walk in there, before you're going to appear on Friday. So before then, probably a week before, even Monday, if you are clumsy, you walk in there, the attorney says, go and check if that court file is still in order. You go there and you knock and you check the court file. You say, well, is it possible if we can have the settlement agreement and the marriage certificate so we can bring them during the court proceedings? Most magistrates will say, yes, you can take them. Because you are used to magistrates saying, yes, you can take them, you go to another magistrate, you don't ask anymore. You just pull it out and you walk. No, it will end in tears, they say in South Africa. So ask. Where do you learn these things? You learn these things in professional conduct. There's a certain way courts work. There's a certain way courts people behave in court. And I'm going to talk to you about court appearances at a later stage. But once you're done with professional conduct, you remember I've asked Star to write a letter, and she will type the letter in a certain way. For example, the letter will go like this. The above matter refers as point 1. We represent our client, Mrs. Bengu, or we represent Mrs. Bengu in bracket, our client, full stop. Then it'll go to number 2. She say, so you all write like that? Yeah, we do. All right, like that. Sometimes you don't put the number form, but if you read a letter from a lawyer, it'll always be shaped in that way. It is so simplistic when you look at it, no confusion who they represent. And the issue they're about is not confusing, it's straightforward. Interesting, no bombastic words, simple English. So if we ask you to write a letter, please use the same English you used, okay, maybe improved a bit in grade 10. But all I'm trying to say is when a grade 10 child reads the letter, they must understand it. If a grade 10 child reads the letter and is confusing, tear it off. The letter is bad. It must be simple language, simple English, plain. In the morning, we were having a discussion. We said, well, the above matter refers. We write that you should provide our office with a settlement agreement which forms nexus in this matter. Well, that's complicated. What is nexus now? Well, you should have used plain language. Could you please provide us with a settlement agreement which is relevant in this matter? Simple. Just talk like you were talking to a person in front of you. Lawyers, we read lots of letters. When you send me a letter, I'm not impressed. I'm going to read just probably one sentence. I'll ignore the rest of the stuff. I'll probably get Kotatsu to read the rest of the things. She's sitting in front of me. So I'm not going to read the rest of the things. So you need to write it in such a way and write it as short as possible. Please don't write 10 pages. I'm not going to read the 10 pages. So you can imagine a magistrate or a judge. They're not going to read all those pages. Try as much as possible and be to the point. Okay, I'll come back to this point of being to the point. That's communication. If you're going to draft something, draft it simple, draft it easy. I'll show you how to draft these. I'll even show you how to draft a basic affidavit and how the affidavit should be plain, simple, and sound like the person who's going to sign it. Sometimes lawyers write so complicated affidavits, you ask yourself, did the client really write this thing? Because the client himself, you give that affidavit to read, he says, eh, what is this? It's too complicated. It must be simple. Well, we'll move on to information technology. Strange but true. I would have expected that everybody understands how to use a computer. The reality is no. People likely know how to open a computer, open a browser, open Microsoft Word, but do you really use it? No. So in class, you'll see now then a lot of interactive videos and we talk about it. It's how do you format a document really? If you came to my office and you worked with me for 5 seconds and our first thing to write, and we write a letter, and your letter was New Times Roman, you'll hear me say, no, change it to Arial. And if it's Arial and it size 10, I'll say, no, change it to 12. Change it to 2-line spacing. Why? Courts prefer that. So, but you say, but Mr. Pala, you're not sending this to court now, are you? You must make it look nice. You must use Gothic, italic. No, it's a legal document. It's not a love letter. It has to look lovely, but it must also look legal. So if you cultivate the habit of using a certain font, a certain format, it's easy on your eyes. Like the book you are reading is formatted that way. So it's easy on your eyes. It doesn't strain your eyes. And in law firms, you realize you read a lot of documents. So information technology will assist you to understand, especially Microsoft Word and a word processor, how to use these things effectively and how to use them fast. How to use Outlook. In Outlook, how to put a signature there. Because when you send me an email from your law firm, or it is from your paralegal practice, the first thing I do is not to read the top, is to read the bottom. I scroll right down and look, which law firm is this? So if I don't see that, the conversation is complicated. I need to see the name of the law firm, the name of the attorney you are working with, like you would say, assistant to Mr. Pala. Because law firms sometimes it could be Pala RM attorneys, but you get Mr. Winder, you get Mr. Matimele, you get whoever, different lawyers could be there. So you should tell which assistant you are to, so that if I need to raise an issue with my colleague, I'll call a particular person and say, hey, Mr. Van der Walt, there's an issue here, your assistant sent me an email. So it makes things easier. So that will be on Outlook. And you say, Mr. Pala, I know how to use Outlook. No, let's do it right. And you and I could agree on a standard procedure. This is how to do it right. But navigating through Outlook as well, the inboxes, the junk mails, the important mails, the not so important mails. We need to navigate through those. But something interesting, the old law firms used to have Petulo, they used to have a fax. Do you have a fax there by your office, Petulo? Petulo, you guys have a fax? You're not old school. Petulo no, they're not old school. They don't have faxes there. So you would find that in the old school law firms, they used to have faxes. And in some of your letterheads, they still write fax on them. I don't know who receives those things, but something new is happening. When I was doing my articles, my principal would say, Mr. Pal, do not send WhatsApp messages to clients. Okay, sure. But the clients, they send WhatsApp messages to me. And then me, I tried to send a fax. Okay, I sent an email. And the client says, Mr. Pal, but you can just WhatsApp me a picture of the document, or at least attach it on WhatsApp. I'll send it to my own email. So there's a new way of working there. But when you're going to look at information technology, there's other software that you can actually use. South African ones, they have LexisNexis will have, if you're working for big law firms, they've got Ghost Conveys, they've got all those fancy things. But there's also smaller ones. If you work for a small law firm, you can actually use. We'll go through these softwares just for an hour or two, and we go through tips. Then we look at which ones work, which ones are complicated. Some work very well, but they can only bill in dollars, for example, which makes a little bit troublesome to work with. But we look at the pros and cons and we laugh about it, and we look at what works, and you can discuss with your boss and say, hey, boss, could you please stop putting documents in your briefcase? You can load them on Dropbox, you know. Then he doesn't have to carry things. Dropbox can actually be on his phone, and he can download Dropbox on his phone, or at least Google Drive if he insists. Those are the things we'll learn under information technology and how to use technology to work better in law firms. And this legal research, Lee, in our office, there was a lady called Lee. So I used to, if you hear me and Lee, and she just left, she's not working on our law firm, but if I want research that, I call Lee. Even now, I will call Lee, because Lee is good at the research. Have you seen that case? I don't know if you've seen it, where a lawyer was chastised by the court for having copied and pasted things, head of arguments and stuff from ChatGPT. That was bad. ChatGPT writes nice, but hey, it references bad. So you need to know when to use this AI technologies and when not to use it. But most importantly, how to use it. It can help clean your language, but if you're not careful, it will throw you off and cite things that are not exactly the way. For example, it can use legal references from the USA and cite case law from the USA and cite sections from the USA, and you put those in your South African head of arguments, and the whole thing looks haywire. And your manager or the attorney at your firm had asked you to make research, and instead of you making proper research, you go on ChatGPT and you try and research. It ends in tears. Please don't try this at home. The hazards are real. The same as Wikipedia, it reads and sounds right until it sounds wrong. So what do you do then? The legal practice sent us an email, all attorneys, guys, do not use this. You can contact the legal practice council. We have a library. And me, I said, yeah, you've got what? Yes, how to use it? They said, send us an email. I said, Lee, did you hear? So we did this on one case with Lee. She sent an email to them to ask for case law. Well, we actually did win that case. It was a huge case that appeared on TV and all. But you can imagine how many counsel, I think we were like 8 or so attorneys and advocates presenting on that very case. And the case which actually won the day and everybody went to was a case on Sanderson, constitutional case. And the advocate I consulted with to settle the papers and do research, he didn't give me the Sanderson case. You know where I got the Sanderson case? Lee researched it. Says, Mr. Pala, have you seen this? And she highlighted the things using a yellow highlighter. You have a yellow highlighter, don't you? You say, why yellow highlighter? Any other highlighter, if you photocopies, messes up the document, but not the yellow highlighter. The yellow highlighter photocopies. So if you've got other different color highlighters, throw them away. Get the yellow ones. The yellow ones are the ones that work very well if you photocopy a document. Now you've had a new thing from the lawyers, a trick box. I was taught this by an advocate in court. He says, Mr. Pala, here's a gift for you. Use a yellow highlighter. I've got one in the bag. So from then I've learned use a yellow highlighter. But Lee highlighted this, and this was a big point of discussion. I think we went for 3, 4, 5 sessions in court arguing this thing. And we've won because a paralegal researched. Say, really, Mr. Pala, so you've won a huge case because of a paralegal? Yes, and I'll show you what Lee has done. And if possible, one day I'll sit with you and show you her research when she sends it to me and how she highlights and everything. You can still do this on LexisNexis, you know, but it's 450 rands per practice directive. It's way expensive. If your law firm works with 10 practice directives, it's a lot. You can do it on JudaStats. So I'll show you how to do it on LexisNexis. I'll connect one and show you how you research. It helps. I've just used one this week. I'll show you how you do it on JudaStats. You'll tell me which one you prefer. I'll show you if you are registered at the university. Well, the UNISA one was not that very helpful. Sorry, UNISA guys. Hello, I love you. But if you try, somebody said they'll show me the VETS one, but I've not used it. I've used the UP one. UP has got a library. So if you're registered at UP, you should be able to get the library login. The UP one is very nice. So I will log into my UP one and show you how, if you are registered at the university, you can use research for free using a university. And you say, Mr. Pala, me, I don't like school. Ne? Don't tell me about universities. Fine. But someone in your office, maybe it's like me, they love school and they are registered for one course or another and they've got their logins. If you are nice to them and you make them a cup of coffee and a half, they are likely to allow you to research using their UP logins or their VETs or their UJ, whatever. The universities have got an advantage in that they give you a bigger access to different databases. These databases, you don't easily get them if you do it on your own, because you must subscribe to each and every one of these. But universities subscribe for you and they let you use them for free. I'll show you the hack on how to research using a university. Well, that's me and the research. Are you ready to talk about money? Yes. What is a law firm without module 6? Actually, module 6 must be module 1. Because the law firm is for the money. Month end, we all want to be paid. Ka-ching! And we receive the SMSs. We pack our bags. We leave and go to the mall. And drink the smoothie on the law firm. Legal bookkeeping. If the bookkeeping is not done right, we won't be able to have the ka-ching done. It starts with a simple invoice, you know. How do we invoice people? What do we put on these invoices? You say, okay, Mr. Pala, an invoice is an invoice, but an invoice is an invoice. Not in a law firm. In a law firm is different. There are legal fees, there are disbursements, there are tariffs. So there's a lot of things that go with this. And interesting, in law firms, there's taxation, not tax SARS, but taxation as in somewhere there by the office of the master. If you live in Pretoria, somewhere in Czech Square, you'll have your attorney say, let's go. And they drag a big bag. They go there, they put everything in front of the taxing master. They go with a pencil and say, no. Yeah, maybe no. And they text things off. And ultimately, calculators get whipped out at these cell phones and a new amount gets to be put in. Taxation is expensive. It's like a court appearance. You're not going to pay anything south of 11,000 rands if you try to do it. And imagine you go there because you type things wrong and you guys come back and you have to do taxations. Your client is quitting it. It's bad. Those of you dealing with road accident funds, when the client has just received money and then they don't have a problem. When they come back from I blew it, aha, now they want to tax the whole thing. So make sure that you understand this module on legal bookkeeping because it helps you to do this well. But later, you realize, but around October, September, something like that, all lawyers drive their cars to the Legal Practice Council. What are they doing there? They're going to report. So there's a long queue there. Otherwise, they would have paid somebody to do the reporting for them. Especially if they've got trust accounts. If these trust accounts are not done properly, they even end up disbarred, which means the law firm actually closes and you must type a new CV. To avoid these problems, what you then need to do is to make sure that from the very beginning, and if we are going to speak like lawyers will be saying, do the bookkeeping proper ab initio from the very beginning. And if you do it proper from the beginning, when we are going to file and we submit an annual return, our annual returns are good, our auditors say this is good, and the legal practice council says, yes, we agree this is good, then we get something called the Fidelity Fund certificate for the year, and then we practice. Without those, we can't practice. So guys, legal bookkeeping is very important. Actually, if I'm going to hire a paralegal, on top of their CV, before I see their name, I want the paralegal to write, I have done a course in legal bookkeeping with Mr. Pal. Okay, fine, delete Mr. Pal. I've done the legal bookkeeping and I understand how to just write on top. And then after that, paragraph number 2, my name is hired. I don't want to know about the bottom things. Because if you can do this part, you are a superstar. This gives lawyers nightmares. Legal bookkeeping, and you remember that information technology module 4? They go hand in hand. If I can show you how you can use technology to sort out legal bookkeeping, you'll be a happy beggar. It'll be a very lovely thing to do. There are some other programs that you can, I think for 35 rands, or 350 rands, some are 2,500 rands, some are 1,500 rands, but some are close to nothing. You can learn how to do these things on those programs. And if you can master those programs, legal bookkeeping. Module 7 is not ordinarily something you learn a lot in paralegals. But here's one interesting fact. Lawyers, they don't like standing on queue. Have you realized that? Because when we were candidate attorneys, we queued a lot. So we are traumatized. So we don't want to queue anymore. So yes, you are right. Guess who we send? You. And you must go and queue. Have you tried queuing at these two places? One is the divorce court in the morning. No, not the divorce, the maintenance court in the morning. Ooh. If in Pretoria, and then you must look for Mr. Thoma. Oh no. I don't want to go there. Thank God for candidate attorneys. Thank God for paralegals. We love you guys very much. Up until the 29th. But yeah, love you guys very much. You really do an important thing. Here's another office. The office of the master. I see that they're moving things online. But ouch. You file something there. You go back and they say, it's not ready. You must come back. But I was here. Hey. You think you're the only one. You must come back. The office of the master. It was in the news for this. It's famous for this story. And I see they're moving things online. Those of you who work in law firms that do high court litigation, you've seen Case Online. They are trying to create something like Case Online for the master. So yeah, you're going to do liquidation and distribution accounts loaded online. Oh, I love the person who came with the idea. So things will move right along. I don't love going to that office. It's painful office. Imagine if the letter of executorship, you can just click from your office and you get it. Letter of authority from your office and you get it. And if you have not done deceased estate, you say, letter of what? Don't worry. We'll explain this pain to you. And at the end of the day, you understand why we're going, office of the master. because that's where you submit all these documents so that you can have these documents done. And what if there's property to be transferred? Endorsements. Oh, no, 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 no. Office of the Master. I'll show you how to do deceased estates in a painless manner, how to use an online system, at least if you're in Gauteng, and I think the other provinces will get it running soon as well, if not already. I'll show you good tips how to deal with the clerks of the court and the people at the deceased estate. They're also clerks. They've got a petty dislike for candidate attorneys, and they say, and then you go there and you say, well, my candidate submitted this, or this is the paralegal. Is that your candidate? Yeah, it's this one. They come here, the cause problem, you know. Let me see. The same thing the paralegal took there. Says, okay, fine. I'll scan it, Mr. Pala. You can come next week Wednesday. But why didn't you do it for him? No. We are not a school. We don't teach them what to do. Welcome to our profession. So I'll show you how to be nice. And we deal with these things, and patient, of course. If you're going to deal with people at the courts, you must be very patient. You must wear flat shoes. Forget high heels. Flat shoes to stand at a queue if you have to go queue at a court. But thanks to court online, you don't get a lot of those queues. But magistrate courts, you will have a lot of those. Module 8, you remember we talked about communication. And at communication, I said to you, I'll also show you how to draft an affidavit. My assistant will say, after we drafts, you really are good at this. And I don't wait for a pat on the back from somebody else. I stand up, take my left hand and pat on the right, and take my right hand and pat on the left, give myself a pat on the back. Yes, I'm good at this thing. Legal drafting is nothing else but simple communication. And I'll show you how you can simply use headings to draft something. And if you knew the headings, you'll easily draft, like, who are the parties? The jurisdiction, introduction to the matter so that you can give the court a background. These points in disputes, points that are not in disputes, your client's argument, and all of that. It's simple, but we'll go through it. Me, I've learned it from a book. I'll show you the book which I bought here at the Law Society from the one professor who teaches the course here, and the course is available here. I'm going to teach you part of it, but here they've got a more sophisticated course on legal drafting. You can attend that course. The person teaching it is a former judge and is very good at it, and he can tell you what works and what doesn't work, what impresses a judge and what doesn't impress a judge. We are about to go home in the next 2 minutes. We have managed to do 6 o'clock. Are you ready to go home? Yes, we are going home. Is there any question you would like to ask me? You can unmute and ask me a question, or you can use a chat box and ask me a question. If you're with me in class, please ask me a question here. I'll be able to answer. Let me go to the chat. I see some Petolo says our printer can also fax. I get to know. So I'm reading this from the chat box. Yeah. Okay. Any questions? Is the Master of the High Court Polokwane also moving online? I pray so, and I hope so, that system should move online for everybody else. It will make life easy for you. I can feel your pain. They always start these things in Gauteng, but it will come because they want to make it easy for everybody else. Mava, you say when I was talking about legal bookkeeping, I've mentioned I'm not able to see the rest of the question. If you can retype it, Mava, so that I can see. further or just the bottom of it? I'm reading it up to you mentioned. And somebody says it was a very good class. Thank you, sir. That's Lauren. Thank you, Lauren. You're welcome, my friend. If at the end of the day, I make you that superstar paralegal that the firm wants to pay 15,000 and above, yes, we must increase the pay grade. Taxation, what was the last note? Okay, taxation is you do it at the taxing master. So there's taxes and SARS, but taxation in the name of law firms is somebody saying to your law firm, I don't believe you charged me properly. I want somebody to look at this again. So you take it to the taxing master, and the matter gets set down. So you get a date and you all sit around the table and the amounts get looked at again. Some will be increased if you are lucky, but hey, most of them gets reduced. So make sure that when you bill, you follow the tariffs that are also linked to the experience of the lawyer who was working on the case. Somebody says Potato says you mentioned 4 modules from now. The 4 modules are, if you look at module 1, the one you've got, I'm trying to get you to the page on module 1. So if I'm looking at module 1, you see exactly I'm at that page. You can see it says module 1, introduction to law. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, the first 4. So we'll do the first 4. If I juggle them around, I'm going to let you know that I'm juggling them around and which one I'll do. But for now, take me for my word and say I'm still in a good mood to do the 4. So let's do the first top 4. But if we change anything, I'll let you know. And if you are happy, you can sign off. I won't hold it against you. Lee, are you good? It's good for you to pack up and go if you're ready. Thanks for coming. It was nice meeting you. Yeah, you get tariffs. It's when a lawyer charges an amount, is based on a certain tariff. It's magistrate tariffs and all of those, but it's a more complicated discussion that goes also to the experience of the lawyer, the complexity of the matter, the legal fees, the taxation, and for me also the experience of the legal practitioner. But sometimes also the area where you practice. I mean, if you go to a law firm in Sandton, you don't expect to be charged 800 rands, are you? No, if you come to my law firm, we first charge you for the coffee, for the aircon, and all the nice CCTs in life. It happens. The big law firms will charge you more for it. All right. Thanks, Monique. You can log off. I'll see you on Thursday. Somebody says, how does the class work interactive task work? Well, we are going to keep talking and you will be able to unmute yourself. We have a discussion in class and you'll be able to see what I'm doing. You do what I do. If we are typing a document, I'll put the document online, type it together with you. We will work together. And tomorrow, since everybody has left, next time I come, I'm going to explain to you, those who want to you that one, you'll be able to attend court cases where I present them. If you're around Pretoria, you can come with me to court and see other lawyers beat me or I win. I do cases that are famous, so you would probably see some of the cases I do on YouTube. You'll see them on the news or on SABC. I'll tell you how to do it. That helps you with interactions, and you can be able to see and understand the case that we do. Then after class, we are able to talk about it, and you can tell me what I should have said and how I should have handled it, and that will help us with interaction. Thank you very much, guys. Off. To find me, Starbucks. Yes, you should come to Pretoria and then we go to Starbucks and have this class right in there. Thank you very much. Goodbye.